Welcome, everyone, to Midweek Meditation. Welcome back. Uh, Sharon, who had her adult bat mitzvah last Saturday in our shared community. And so now she has free time, so she can come back.
That's right. And then Wendie read Torah
I
too.
did. It was delightful. I haven't done it in years. So thank you for that opportunity. It was really wonderful. And welcome Alana, who's just joined us. Welcome to everybody. And here comes Lori. Welcome to everybody on the live stream. Welcome to everyone who is going to be watching this on the recording. I'm going to do one other thing here that I didn't do. There I go. So I want to start by acknowledging the land that I'm on, the ancestral land of the Ramaytush Ohlone people and the tiny little Lambchin tribelet that used to live in Redwood City. And today's meditation is a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of an experiment. So I was thinking, how could I do a walking meditation? And so that's what we're going to do, a walking meditation without walking if you don't want to. In fact, I'm not going to walk. But the idea behind a walking meditation is to take meditation out of sitting quietly and bring it into being a little bit more active. So some people like walking meditation better because it gives them something to do. I know certainly for me, I never fall asleep in a walking meditation, so that's always good. Whereas I think I fell asleep, was it 2 weeks ago, weekends ago, when I was in my silent meditation retreat. Every time the teachers did some kind of guided meditation, I fell asleep in it. So as I have said here, I think it's a real blessing that when we can relax enough to fall asleep. So I'm fine if you fall asleep here. If you aren't familiar with that, it's absolutely wonderful. But you don't fall asleep in a walking meditation, and it's a little bit of a transition. So when we're out and about in life, we don't always feel like we're so meditative. When we're sitting and we're on a cushion or in a chair being still and there's no stimulus around us and everybody's quiet, we don't feel like we are engaged in the world in the same way. And so walking meditation can be a little bit of a bridge between those two. When you're on retreat or you're in a meditation that's walking, you'll walk by other people, you'll get distracted by things, maybe you're always distracted, like many of us in meditation, but you will certainly get there's more things to distract you. And then you return back to the meditation. So it's a nice way to realize that we're constantly going to be distracted, and then we just return to whatever it is the focus of the meditation or the focus of our attention. So I thought about how to do this, and I was inspired a little bit by colleague, and I was in a group and she had us just kind of look around, and I thought, oh, I could do that as a kind of a walking meditation. We'll walk with our eyes and we'll walk with our ears, not necessarily our bodies. But I do want to invite you, if you want to get up and walk and do this as a walking meditation, that's wonderful as well. And so when we do a walking meditation, just want to give a little instruction here and not in the meditation, but when we do a walking meditation, the objective is not to get anywhere. I'm going to go to the kitchen and get this and come back. But the objective is to simply be present and use the body as another, with each step, set some intention, use the body as a way to bring our focus into the present moment, to be very mindful of what we're doing, and to notice, even though we take a few steps, we're very mindful of what we're doing, all of a sudden our mind is wandering away. So it's, again, more of the practice that we're trying to cultivate, bringing our attention back to be in the present moment instead of thinking about what we want to do or what we need to do or this list or that list. And so there's no particular, if you certain Zen meditation practices, it's incredibly slow. You lift the foot and you think about lifting the foot and you put it down and you put it down very slowly. That's not necessary. If you like doing it that way, I've been on retreats with people who like to walk incredibly slowly. That's fine, but it doesn't have to be slow. It can be at a comfortable pace, that you're paying attention to the feet and remembering. Some people like to synchronize the breath to the walk, um, whether it's breathing in and breathing out on one foot, breathing in and breathing out on another foot, or breathing in on one foot, breathing out on another. And also honoring the body, that every person's body is different. And for some people, especially if you have joint problems, arthritis, walking really, really slow can be painful. So you want to walk in some pace that's comfortable for you if you're going to walk. I'm just kind of giving some instructions. I don't expect anybody to get up and walk, but if you want to, again, please do. But just in general, if you want to try walking meditation on your own, pick up a place maybe that's 10, 15, maximum of 20 steps, and you go back and forth. And so you're already reminding yourself, I'm not doing this to get anywhere. I'm just going back and forth. And what's nice about that versus walking in a circle is that when you get to the end of your line, so to speak, you turn around to go the other way, and you can stop and take some intention. Like, okay, how mindful, how present was I? Wasn't quite as present as I wanted to be. So let me just wait here until I feel like, okay, I'm gathering myself in and I'm being more present. Now I'm going to take that first step. The other thing is you can stop in the middle. If you, oh my goodness, I was off. I got totally lost there. Let me stop. Even though I'm in the middle of my quote unquote line, I haven't come to the end. Let me just stop, breathe, return to my breath, return to whatever the focus was. And when I feel ready, I can move on. So those are some general walking meditation instructions. If you choose to get up and walk today, what you might want to do so you're not distracting other people in case anybody else is up and walking is you might want to turn your camera off. But for those of us that are meditating, I think most of us meditate with our eyes closed. Some people do meditate with their eyes open. So it can just be, if you're going to be walking in front of the camera, going back and forth, trying not to distract other people if they are in gallery mode. So we're going to do less, in, and invite in some of those distractions, and invite them in. I design this in 3 parts, this meditation. I guess I'll call it a walking-ish meditation. That sounds pretty Jewish, doesn't walking-ish? So we're going to allow distractions to be part of the meditation. What do we notice? What is our eye? What does our ear grab? If you are near a window, or these days, I don't know if anybody's actually sitting outside. Maybe Ina, if she's here, I haven't noticed who's on, because she's in Florida. Maybe it's warm enough for her to be outside. But if you have access to a window and you want to look out during part of the meditation, that can be really lovely. And so the 3 parts of this walking-ish meditation, the first part is going to be mindfulness. So notice what you hear, notice what you see. You can look around the room. I notice this, I notice that. Or you can listen. I hear this, I hear that. You can look outside. I see rain. And mindfully then, as you're naming what you're seeing, think about, is this positive? Is this negative? Or is this neutral? Just noticing that we have judgments and feelings about that which we are experiencing. So that'll be the first part. So I would be like, in my mind, flower. I don't have to say flower. I just notice flower. And then I might think positive or, nice. And I can stay with flower, nice, or I can look at teacup, nice. So that'll be the first part. And then I'll do a little wake up bell to move us to the second part. And in the second part, adding on. So very similar, notice, and notice with an intention to be amazed and grateful. So here it's a bit more of a gratitude practice, or it is a gratitude practice. So you might stay with something a little bit long and let the sense of amazement and awe and gratitude of, the purple. I have some dried flowers on my desk, so that then they're purple status. So it's like, oh, wow. And there's different shades of purple, and just feeling that and letting myself feel that experience and moving on. And then it might be, ooh, my monitor cord, it's broken. I need to replace it. Negative. Okay. How long do I want to sit with that? So if that happens, that's fine. If not, then I can move to the next thing that I feel grateful and amazed for. So it's a little bit of layering on top of that, trying to be amazed instead of just naming, but to notice and allow ourselves to feel more grateful. And then the part 3, I wove this part in because I was looking at this week's Torah portion, which is Toldot, generations. And I thought it would be really nice to bring in the sense of the lineage and the generations that have come before us. So I'm going to tell you ahead of time. I don't want anybody to go out and get anything, but this third part is going to be about noticing if there's something in your room that it was either given to you by or was belonged to an ancestor. So I actually already brought a few things over to me. And if you want to bring them over before we start, you can. Mine were in a little curio cabinet that I have. And I had something from each of my grandmothers and something from my father who has passed away. And so that's my little generational. It's not that you need to have 3, something for every ancestor that you want to bring in, but that just happened to be, they were all in the same curio cabinet. And so to bring in that sense of what's our connection to our ancestors. This part will be a little bit shorter. And if you want to, during this meditation, if you want to hold, this was my grandma Sarah's Tums container, and it still has her Tums in it. She used to eat Tums every day. So I have a lot of fond memories of seeing my grandma with that, and see what arises and see how I feel, whether I'm holding it or not, see what you feel. And that will then I'll end the meditation with the full bells, and then we can, hopefully there's time. I have a reading, and we will then honor and acknowledge all of our presence together, and that'll be the end of the meditation. So that's the plan for today.
How long do you think it'll be? Like, how much
Well,
time do you budgeted?
we will finish by 2:45. So we will finish in a half an hour.
Cool.
Okay.
Just curious.
Yep. So before we get started, I have a very short little tiny poem. I was reminded of this from Sharon, from her bat mitzvah, and the beautiful program that she put together for her bat mitzvah on Saturday. And it's called Morning Meditation. And it reminded me of the first couple of pieces of this meditation. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. So I'm not going to chant us in to the meditation today. I'm going to let us look at the world, think about looking at the world with eyes of compassion and looking inward with eyes of compassion as well. So I invite you, if you want to try walking, to do that. And if not, to notice your body in the chair, to feel the pressure of your sit bones pushing against the seat, and noticing anywhere else where your body is touching chair or touching bottom of foot, touching floor. Notice the crease in the elbows and the crease behind the knees. Notice the breath coming into the body, breathing in and receiving, breathing out and exhaling. Breathing in and letting your mind relax a little bit more with every breath. And as you exhale, relaxing, softening the mind, coming into the body a little bit more. As you breathe in and breathe out and release. So let's start with simply noticing the sounds around you. What do you hear? And what do you hear inside your body? You might be able to hear heartbeat or crinkling in the ears. Just take a minute to notice and note your response, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral to any sound that you hear. And then let's move. Let's see who I need to mute here. Sorry. Oh. Then let's move to opening the eyes and looking around the room or out the window or both. And just take a moment. What is your gaze light on? And what is the feeling of that? And as sounds come in, include those as well. So we'll see what we're seeing and what we're hearing. For the second part, including both hearing and seeing, and adding in gratitude and amazement for what we're noticing and hearing. And so take your time. It may be that some gratitude has already arisen in you for some of the things that you're noticing, and allow yourself to do this very slowly, and to also notice any body sensations, anything internal as well as external. And at any time, if it feels like a lot and you want to close your eyes and return to the breath, relax in that refuge of the breath, feel free to do that for as long as you wish. Now we'll move to connecting from a very spacious place to generations that have come before you. Return to the breath for a few breaths, breathing in and breathing out, following your own breath rhythm, receiving and releasing. And so as you look around, or maybe you already have lighted on, knowing where we're going, an object that belonged to or was given to you by someone in another generation, in a previous generation, to either look at that object, or if there's no object in the room that you're in, to think about something that they owned or that was given to you that you either have or you know of. And if it's nearby and you want to grab it and connect with it physically, you can do that, but that is not necessary. So see, as you look at or think about or hold and look at and think about this object, what stirs in you? What emotions or stories? And give some space for that. So we are taking the next 5 minutes or so to really be with what's unfolding, the story in us that lives in us, that is part of our ancestors, people from another generation or a person from another generation. And as we spend the last minute or so with an ancestor or ancestors, if it feels like there's any encouragement or support or inspiration that you'd like to ask for from them, or what you notice that is already in you that is inspired and was encouraged and supported by them, take a little bit of time to notice that or ask for that from your ancestor or ancestors. So as we come back, take a nice breath in and let it go. Returning back, if your eyes were closed, when you're ready, you can open them. I ended the meditation a little bit shorter than I do some days because the reading that I wanted to give is a little bit longer, and I wanted to have time for it. And also, people may have things that they want to share after we close the meditation. I want to give enough time for that as well. So again, this week's Torah portion told out about generations. There's a particular often overlooked piece because it's a very rich parasha about how Isaac is redigging some wells that were owned by his father Abraham, who has passed, and the challenges that those wells have been filled up by the Philistines. And he and his servants spend time digging and finding water, only to have people say, this isn't yours, this is mine. And he does that twice, and finally he digs a new well, but probably in the same proximity, since water was known to be in that area, but a new well. And this one he gets to keep, and he names each of those wells. And the first two are named, I wrote this down, something like contention, and the second one something like animosity. It depends on how you translate the Hebrew. But the third one he names ample room, spaciousness, something like that. And then he gets to keep this, and he gets to let the resources, the wellspring, the living water, it's even described, Mayim Chaim in the Torah portion, he gets to have that for sustenance for him and his family and his, all of his servants. So wanting to honor that, we have this connection to our generations, our ancestors past, and yet we bring pieces of that forward with us, and we're also digging our own wells, and that spaciousness that is created, that we don't have to live the life just of what is given to us from our ancestors, and that we get to live in the present moment, and we get to acknowledge and honor everything we see and everything we hear, and that it has an experience, and it's affecting us. So this lovely poem, which some of you may know, it's pretty familiar in spiritual circles. It's called The Guest House by Rumi, who was a Sufi, a Persian poet, philosopher, and theologian as well. And he wrote this: "This being human is a guest house, every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. A dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." So there's a lot of meaning there. We may discuss that together or not, for those of us who are able to in the Zoom. But I will say that meditation is, this seems to be a poem for me that is about the meditative experience, like honoring what's neutral, honoring what's positive, honoring what's negative, being present to the unfolding of our experience, that, and just riding the waves and inviting it all in. So I want to thank you all for your presence and your participation in this little experiment. I'll hear from those of you locally in the Zoom how it went for you. And if anybody else wants to email me, Wendie@wendielash.com, and tell me what you thought about this walking-ish meditation, and any suggestions you have, I appreciate that. And until the time that we are together again, the light of Yah, the ground of being that many name God, that is in all of you, in all of us. And so that light, that divine light that is in me, salutes and acknowledges the divine light that is in you. You are made in the image of Yah. B'Tselem Yah.